Well, good evening to everybody. I am Melanie Woke. I am the newly elected chair of the Alberta Beef Producers, and I, along with my family, ranch in the Northeast Zone near Bevalin, Alberta. I have been primarily a cow-calf veterinarian since 1993, previously running my own practice, and now I'm working in the pharmaceutical industry. This is my 6th year as an ABP delegate and 5th as a director. And during this time, I've served on the executive, first as finance chair and then as vice chair. I'm honored to now serve as chair of the organization after being elected at large to the board by our delegate body. I'd like to introduce the other members of the ABP executive who you will be hearing from this evening. Jason Hale is our vice chair, and he joins us from the Southeast Zone, where he ranches near Bassano. Brody Hogan is our finance chair, who is also from the Southeast Zone, where he ranches near Orion. And Kelly Smith-Frazier is our past chair from the Southwest Zone, where she ranches near Pine Lake. They'll also be available to answer any questions tonight. I'd like to really thank everyone for taking the time to join us this evening. We plan to hold these town halls throughout the year as another platform to try and connect with our producers. We will provide some updates. Sorry, I forgot to mute my phone. We will provide some updates on the work being done by ABP on your behalf, and we will be presenting the 2021 Environmental Stewardship Award winners tonight. If you have questions through the evening, please submit them in the question and answer function at the bottom of your screen and not in the chat, as we will do our best to answer them as we go. There will also be a question and answer period before we conclude tonight. Our last producer meetings took place at the end of 2020 with a town hall and resolution meetings. Delegate elections were held and the entire delegate body was up for re-election this year under the new zone structure. We still have 3 positions available in the Northwest Zone and one available in the Central Zone. I strongly encourage any producer interested in serving as a delegate in one of these zones to contact the ABP office. Some of the resolutions passed at the producer meetings were quite timely, and as such were sent to the ABP Board of Directors to review and to determine the next steps. Others were brought forward at our annual general meeting in March for the delegate body to debate. We are in the process of sending letters to the movers of carried resolutions at our producer meetings to inform them of the outcomes of these resolutions. A full breakdown of the resolutions is available in the latest issue of ABP Magazine, which producers will receive the 2nd week of May. Moving forward, resolutions will then go to the newly created Issues Management Committee to determine the best course of action. 12 ABP directors were elected at large by the delegate body prior to the AGM and announced during the meeting, and the executive elections were then held at the following board meeting. Delegates reviewed ABP's strategic plan during the meeting and offered feedback, ultimately deciding that more discussion was needed. Meetings have since been held by each zone to partake in a thorough review of our strategic objectives, and that feedback has been submitted to the Board of Directors for review. The board is in the process of developing a plan from the comments received that will be brought forward to the delegate body and voted on at the semi-annual meeting in September. Our current strategic objectives are focused on government relations and policy that impacts beef production, revitalizing ABP structure and operations to increase producer engagement, sustainable investments into research and technology that support a sustainable and competitive industry, increasing public and consumer understanding of our industry, and improving producer communications. As part of fulfilling the government relations objectives, members of our executive committee, as well as relevant staff, have been meeting with various MLAs to keep ABP in the forefront of issues relating to our industry. One example of our lobbying efforts was illustrated when the government of Alberta announced last week that they would be delaying a vaccination clinic planned for the Cargill High River processing plant. ABP was very quick to connect with government and to encourage the continued prioritization of processing plant workers in the vaccination rollout. This week, the government announced that as of April 27th, more than 15,000 workers from 136 processing plants across the province are eligible to be vaccinated through a combination of on-site clinics, pharmacies, and Alberta Health Services clinics. We appreciate the government of Alberta taking the necessary action to safeguard all processing plant workers in the province and reducing the risk to our industry. COVID-19, as you all know, has had a significant impact on these workers who are essential to Canada's food supply and has brought substantial instability to the beef industry. Our delegates and directors have been spending a significant amount of time having tough conversations around the priorities and the direction that ABP needs to take, with some suggestions that we need to start narrowing our focus to try and keep the organization whole. The high refund rate continues to leave us in a position that is unsustainable on our current path. abpdaily.com is now in full swing, and the engagement we are seeing is extremely encouraging. We have reached almost 16,000 total visits since our launch in February, with 40% of these visitors returning the next day on average. I encourage you to visit the site for information pertaining to all things beef, including daily market updates. It's also a really great resource for upcoming industry events. ABP Analytics showed that 70% of abpdaily.com traffic is coming through mobile use, which supports our development of an ABP Daily app. And we're right now in the final rounds of testing that app before its launch in the next issue of the ABP magazine. You can register to receive download details at abpdaily.com. The next issue of our magazine will be arriving in mailboxes soon, and this issue is filled with tons of great info, including articles on calf health and carcass quality, animal health education, and connecting agriculture through curriculum, spring processing, and a feature, of course, on our 2021 Environmental Stewardship Award recipients. There's something for everyone in this issue, and we hope that producers see value in the content that we are delivering. If you do not receive an issue, please contact the ABP office. I'm going to stop here and ask if there are any questions.
Don't have any submitted in the chat yet, so we can keep moving.
All righty. So we will move on. I would like to introduce Chris Israelson, who is going to present the 2021 Environmental Stewardship Award. Chris is a director from the Southwest Zone and has judged this award for a number of years. The floor is yours, Chris.
Very good. Thanks for that, Melanie. Good evening, everybody. As she mentioned, I had the pleasure again of being included on the 2021 Stewardship judging team. Fellow committee members were and delegates were Colton Cosser, Lori Kinney, and our 2020 ESA winner, Jeff Smith of Deer Creek Ranch. As with the tradition of this award, we coordinated our schedules to take part of our tour of the province late summer 2020. We spread our tour out over 2 days this year to cover the vast miles required to tour all the nominees that, across the province. There's a uniqueness as well as a common thread amongst, excuse me, all nominees we tour. The uniqueness is on the specifics of the solutions as it relates to their individual environment. The solutions are all different, but they all achieve the same goal in the end of making their operations, both cow-calf and feedlots, less impactful on the environment, while maintaining the profitability of the beef business. The common thread amongst all nominees is they're all visionaries. They're all progressive in their management of their operations. Signs representing Verified Beef Plus, Alice, Multi-Star, Forage associations are typically displayed beside ranch signs to indicate that they've partnered with initiatives to improve the environmental and operational components of their businesses. These nominees have made the correlation that partnering with producer-led initiatives are a road to sustainability, both environmentally and financially. This area of collaboration was especially showcased by this year's award winner. This operation developed a relationship with a conservation organization that evolved into extended tenure agreement for grazing, benefiting both the ranch and the wildlife. The success of this pilot agreement has laid the foundation for greater trust and longer tenures for cattlemen grazing conservation lands in Alberta. It was also highlighted by a renewable energy project that was developed in partnership on this ranch. This energy project added a level of economic sustainability to the operation, which maintained the viability of the cow herd, which in turn maintained the viability of the grazing ecosystem. This operation's progressive ability is what truly set it apart from fellow nominees. All recent nominees have incorporated water and riparian management plans, structured grazing plans, wildlife corridors to lessen conflicts. All these areas are now more commonplace in Alberta cattle operations. The leaders of today's modern beef industry will be the producers that seek a cooperative alliance, both within the beef industry, but also outside of the agricultural sphere. The opportunity for ABP's annual ESA award to celebrate the stewardship of beef production is phenomenal. It's a chance to showcase progression and willingness of producers for responsible stewardship within the beef industry. The nominees and winners of this award have all found their own way to thrive within their environment, while maintaining and improving their ecosystems with the use of beef cattle. We must take these opportunities to showcase to consumers and public the ability of the Alberta beef industry to adapt and collaborate in the ultimate goal of stewardship. Public recognition of our stewardship is a major component to our Alberta beef brand and social license. This year, ABP is fortunate to be able to present an operation that's truly worthy of the recognition of our 2021 Environmental Stewardship Award. And with that, I would like to ask Caitlin to start the video to unveil this year's winners.
Ranching, I think for us over the years, we've come to realize it's about looking after land. It's growing grass, selling grass, however you choose to do that. But it is really custodians of a piece of land while you own it. That's what ranching is.
We love it down here. As you can see Chief Mountain in the background, it's absolutely beautiful. The climate is beautiful in the summer, it's hot. And we're located on the St. Mary's River, and we are 2 miles from the US border. Hi, I'm Elan Lees.
I'm Scott Lees.
And we're co-owners of Soderglen South.
So well, we kind of call it the mothership is in Airdrie. That's where everything started. That's where everything intensive happens. The South Alberta land was purchased and the cow herd started to grow and move, and we kept buying land to accommodate the growth of the cow herd so that we didn't tie up more grain acres out of Airdrie. That was the real push for expansion in the South Alberta. So today, what South Alberta is, on the cow side, is that's where the mother cows are. That's where the genetics are born and raised till they're 6 months old. Then they're weaned. Everything goes north.
This ranch is important to us because in 1996 we became co-owners, and it's the first land that we actually had to borrow money and put our reputations on the line and saying that we're going to make this ranch successful and make the company profitable. And we've been able to expand to 2 more ranches, so I guess this one's really important because that's where it started for us. What I love about being a rancher is building better cattle, being able to sustain the cattle on the land that we have, and being able to produce bulls that we sell in a market.
I love the cattle themselves, the genetics behind them, building better genetics. Calving cows and weaning calves, those are my favorite times of year.
We believe in good grasses equal good cattle, and we're not economically profitable if we don't take care of our grasses and our lands. So those things go hand in hand, and our formula is simple: is good cattle, good grasses equals economic profitability for us.
protecting the water is no different than protecting the grass itself. If your wetlands are protected, if your water is distributed properly throughout your ranch, that's the grazing patterns that create a ranch that's sustainable, that can manage wet years, drought years, and continue on. The wetlands on these ranches were very limited. Most of our dealing with wetlands is with Ducks Unlimited themselves. Ducks purchased a fairly significant block of land that was traditional farmland with wetlands in it and or developed. Over the years, we've cross-fenced it and put pipelines in place to take the cattle out of those wetlands. And some of the real sensitive areas we have fenced out, but for the most part, just fresh access to water within good walking distance is the best way to protect the wetlands.
We have 3 ranch employees, and we couldn't do it without those 3 ranch employees. Roger's been with us 14 years. Jeff will be with us next year 8 years, and Ross will be 9 years. So people's important to us, and we couldn't run the ranches without them. And I think that's the best part of being down here.
Our climate's definitely special. Running cows here, well, it can be tough at times, but it's a real nice part of the world to run cows in. I've worked on ranches in 3 different provinces, so, and just the scenery and just how good the climate is here, it's second to none.
The future of Soderglen South is just keep doing what we're doing to improve the land, and it's just a good feeling of knowing that you've done a job, that the land is in better shape than when you started the day before or the year before. You can see things improving.
Being a rancher, I think we've been entrusted with good natural resources, and I think it's our responsibility to take care of those natural resources. When we took over some of the land here, we didn't graze some of the land for 2 to 3 years, and then we lightly grazed it, and it took 8 years to get it back to our standards of where we wanted to see the grasses. So it's nice getting recognized for the years of hard work that we've done to manage grasses. We feel honored to be presented with this award.
And with that, I would like to congratulate Scott and Elan Lees, Soderglen South, and I'd like to invite them to turn their camera on and say a couple words. If everything works.
Okay. Okay, is that working now?
It is working, yes.
That was a beautiful video. We're very grateful to be recognized for our efforts in conservation and environmental stewardship. Environmental stewardship to us is about sustainable agricultural modeling and the efforts that we have made in building these ranches down there, that we hope that they will be there long after we're gone. And some of the conservation agreements that we have with NCC and Ducks Unlimited, we hope that that will continue to protect these lands from development in the future. And hopefully all the changes that we've made and the modeling that we've done, that we have done it right, and these ranches will be around for a very long time. Thank you so much to Caitlin for organizing everything and for all the staff that were involved in this process. It's a huge job. And we just want you to know that we're extremely grateful for being able to be recognized for our efforts in conservation. So thank you very much.
Very good. Well, thank you. And Scott, you want to add anything? You're a man of few words.
It's a good video. It looks like it runs a lot better than it does.
You bet. Well, congratulations. It's kind of, yeah, of course, this isn't our normal banquet that we would normally have for the unveiling of this, but I guess this is the reality of 2020 and 2021. But once again, congratulations from Alberta beef producers on the 2021 award.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
And tell the videographer guys that they did an amazing job on the video.
For sure. Thanks.
Beautiful place you have there, Scott and Elan, and well deserved for this award. Thank you, Chris, for presenting it. Really appreciate it. And yes, beautiful, beautiful video. I hope that a lot of people get to see that. I'm now going to ask Jason Hale to give us an update on some of the issues we've been focusing on this year.
Well, thank you, Melanie, and good evening, everyone. The provincial coal policy has been an area of focus with a resolution brought forward from the producer meetings that asked ABP to call for the reinstatement of the 1976 coal policy in public consultation. The ABP directors passed the resolution and released a statement in support of reinstating the coal policy until the government held proper consultation. On February 8th, 2021, the 1976 coal policy was reinstated in full, pending widespread consultations on new coal policies. Until consultations are complete, coal lease sales and exploration approvals on Category 2 lands remain paused. Exploration approvals granted prior to February 8th were initially able to proceed, but have since then been suspended on Category 2 lands following the first round of public consultation. The consultation process on a new policy is being led by the Coal Policy Committee and began with an online survey that closed April 19th. Further opportunities to provide input will be available in the coming weeks and months. The Coal Policy Committee is set to provide final recommendations to the Minister of Energy by November 15th, 2021. Following the work done last year on updates to the grazing lease contracts and the backlog of grazing lease transfers and renewals, as of April 12th, Alberta Environment and Parks has been able to renew 2,033 leases, with 289 remaining because of outstanding issues. ABP has worked with Alberta Environment and Parks on recreational access issues for both deeded and public lands. We've been working with the department to minimize the impacts of proposed amendments to the Public Lands Act on beef producers in the Forestry Reserve. These amendments allow government to charge fees for recreation activities on public lands and designation and protection of trails. As more recreational initiatives occur on vacant Crown land, ABP is working with Alberta Environment and Parks to clearly communicate the property rights of deeded landowners and leaseholders to members of the recreational community. The Recreational Access Regulation, which governs recreational access to grazing disposition land, is set to expire March 31st, 2022, and ABP is eager to work on this with Alberta Environment and Parks. With that, I was wondering if there was any questions anybody had.
We don't have any questions in the chat just yet, so we can keep moving on.
Okay, with that, I'll ask Brody to cover our work we've been doing on the business risk management. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jason. So last month, the federal and provincial governments reached an agreement to remove the reference margin limit within agri-stability, providing access to $95 million in further funding available through agri-stability. The removal of the reference margin limit will be retroactive to 2020, and the agri-stability enrollment deadline has been extended to June 30th, 2021. The changes to agri-stability make it easier for agricultural operations with lower allowable expenses to trigger a payment when in need. This is an important step towards making the program more accessible, and we encourage producers to review the changes with a financial planner to see if agri-stability works on their farm or ranch. On the topic of business risk management, I would like to remind producers that the purchase deadline for calf insurance through livestock price insurance has been permanently extended into June, with the 2021 deadline set for June 10th and policy expirations available until February 21st, 2022. Policy purchase hours are now available from 2 till 11 p.m. on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays, and claim settlements are available on Mondays during the same hours. These changes are meant to fulfill a risk management gap experienced by producers and to provide additional opportunities to participate in a program that better suits producers who calve in late spring, summer, or fall. We are encouraged by the work that has been done on the BRM front and continue to focus on the long-term modernization of the business risk management suite under the next 5-year agricultural policy framework in 2023. So if there are any questions, we can answer them now. Please remember to submit any and all of your questions to the Q&A function and not in the chat, just to make sure that we get them so we can get them answered.
So we did have a few questions submitted ahead of time, and I think, Brody, you can probably handle this first one. It was a question sent in around checkoff dollars that have been refunded so far as of January 2021. And then looking just for some further clarification around the checkoff dollars that are sent to the Canadian Cattlemen's Association versus what our refund rate is.
Okay, so thank you, John, for the question. So to date, since our checkup became refundable in 2009, to date, we've refunded approximately $28.3 million. And in 2020, approximately $3 million has been refunded. As Melanie mentioned earlier, we do have a large refund percentage, and it's currently at about 46% refund rate. And in terms of our CCA assessment, our CCA assessment is based on gross marketings, not retained marketings. At this time, we are committed to paying the CCA our 53 cents per gross marketing within the province, but we have only been paying 48 cents since July 2020. This year, ABP has paid approximately $1.67 million to CCA. Our refund form provides an option to leave the CCA portion of checkoff dollars in that will be directed straight to CCA rather than being refunded in full. So it's difficult to make a direct connection from our refund rate to our CCA contribution. But yes, we are still continuing to pay beyond 53 cents of the marketings that are retained through checkoff. And I guess further to that, I would like to add that on this specific topic, I'd encourage all of the beef producers throughout the province to connect with your local delegates and further discuss this topic. As Melanie mentioned earlier as well, we are at a crucial time in our industry that we need to straighten some things out with our budget. And in the coming weeks, once our board meets again and finalizes our budget for the coming year, we'll have a clear stance, and we will ensure that we communicate back to our producers on what the hopefully future direction of ABP is and how we're going to balance our books moving forward to create a strong voice for our industry.
Thank you for that, Brody. We also had another one submitted around ABP's position on the coal mining issue, and a producer just curious as to why something wasn't sent out specifically on the consultation and engagement survey. If Karen Schmidt is available to answer that for us, that would be great.
Thanks, Caitlin. To answer the question, I'd like to reiterate something Jason said in his earlier statement, is that ABP did express our producers' concerns regarding the rescinding of the coal policy without consultation through a public statement, as well as in conversations with government. And we do expect further consultation opportunities as the process to develop a new coal policy continues. The initial coal engagement survey was shared on our new communications platform, abpdaily.com, and staff connected directly with producers on both sides of the issue who had expressed concerns to ABP.
That is all I have for questions at this time.
Well, if that's all we have for questions, we'll just give people another minute to maybe think about things. Any burning desire to ask anything before we sign off tonight? If not, I truly would like to thank everybody who participated tonight and attended. Like I said, I know you're all very busy, and giving up an hour of your time can often seem like you could have done a lot outside. So I really, really appreciate you being here. I hope that you've gained some insight as to what's happening at ABP. And if you have any questions or comments that come up in the next day or two, or that you just didn't feel you wanted to ask in public forum, then please reach out to your elected delegate representatives. You can visit, once again, abpdaily.com to find out their information. I'd just like to wish you all a good night and take care.